Good morning, MTSU. I hope you are doing well this morning. I'm reaching you from a beautiful Knoxville right now, wishing I could be with you, but that was not possible. Still, though, I love that we're all sharing the same Tennessee springtime. So, this morning we are going to start with building out a course. While I cannot promise that we will build out your entire course from top to bottom during the next 3 days, I can promise you will know a lot more about Canvas by the time we are finished. So, because we just have 50 minutes together for this first session and for all the sessions we have today, I want to get right into first a quick intro. Hi there, my name is Helen. I've been working with MTSU since they started migrating and moving over from D2L to Canvas, and I will be conducting all of your all-day trainings today, Wednesday, and Thursday. So now that we're all friends, let's go ahead and take a quick peek here at our agenda. This first session is fundamental and it will help you understand how course structure works inside of Canvas. So we will start by navigating that space where that happens inside of modules. We will create and understand how to duplicate modules, which I understand are also part of D2L. So you know these are folders that contain course content for students. We'll understand how to add new content, how to organize the content, control access, and do even things like sharing and copying modules over from one course to another. So let's go ahead and get right into the platform here with an understanding of the course modules page. So right now I am inside of one of my courses. If you happen to not be and you're on your dashboard, I want you to locate one card where you want to do some practice work in today. And for me, I'm just going to pick this course. And I have this opened up in a new shell here. And you see, I have clicked on this link inside the menu called Modules. This is where students access the course. This is where they get your readings, your videos, your assignments, your quizzes, your discussions. This is their one-stop shop. And you see on my screen, I have some folders that open and close when you click on the headers. So I have 4 of these modules, as we call them. All of them have a check mark because these pieces of content are already published. If the thing is published in Canvas, students can access it. So if I were to say test this out and try to see what it's like to view this as a student, I can click on View as Student and see, as if I was a student, several folders that are available to me. And remember, I said I had 4 published, therefore students only see 4 published modules. But in my instructor view, there are 5 because this module is unpublished. And this is a module just for me. Maybe this is a module I'm building. Maybe this is a module with resources for my personal use, but I am not letting students see it. Now, module structure can work according to how you have always taught your class. So for instance, you probably had in D2L a Start Here module, welcome information. You maybe had a page where you talked about yourself, where you had your syllabus, information about the course. A module called Support Resources, where you might place support resources like links to your library or to counseling services. And then you have folders like this, which provide a way for students to get to your content, and you can customize this to make this work for you. You can have your academic modules go by week, by theme, by chapter, by unit, however you taught your course. I promise it will work. Now, if you're looking inside your course and you're thinking, well, mine doesn't look like hers, please don't worry. We're just starting out today, so I'm just trying to give you a little inspiration to help trigger your thinking process as to how you might want your modules to look. Now, some of my module content here, I'll just click on this page as a starter here, comes pre-formatted with the idea that I can make copies of this and give copies to students. If you would like to get pre-built content like this, I'm going to quickly show you how to do it, but no pressure if you don't want to do it at this time, because you can still do this training without these resources. So if you would like to get a course template, as we call it, you're going to go to the Commons here. It is a button on this global navigation bar marked with a C. The first time you get into the Commons, you may be asked to authorize access. That's normal, just click it. And then inside the Commons, you can access the full Canvas course template here. It comes populated with pre-made pages, as you can see here, pre-made discussions, assignments, and quizzes that you can duplicate for your own use. So if you would like to obtain this template, you can select on this Import Download button here, choose the course where you want it to go, and then click Import into Course. Again, don't feel pressured to do this right this second. I just wanted you to know where you could get this pre-formatted content. In the rest of the Commons, you can obtain pieces of the template. So if you wanted to get just the home page or quite a lot of homepage templates, icons, and buttons from Lauren, thank you, Lauren, or the support resources module, you can get pieces of all of the templates here. Now, heading on back into our course here, this is the course where I'm going to do that work here today. Whether you have content here or not, I want to point you towards this module button right here. This is where you can start to create a new module from scratch. So what you're seeing here is a plus module button. When you click it, you are prompted to create a brand new empty folder. So go ahead and create a module 2. Give it a provisional title for now. You don't have to fill in the rest. And then click on Add Module. And then your new module appears right here at the bottom of the page or on your page. Now I'm hovering over this 8 dots area right here just to show you that you can hold onto the 8 dots like it's a handle, and you can drag it around to different places. So I'm going to try to place this right after module 1, where I think it makes the most sense. All right, now inside the module, which is empty, which is not published because students can't see it, I do have a arrow here and it says drop files here to add to module or choose files. This is because you can click the arrow and then you can search for a file to upload. So I'm going to go ahead and pick here. Here's my syllabus for college algebra. So I'll click on open. And then the course ingests it, and now it's available here for students. Now you also see that there's a check mark. The check mark tells you that the file is published. However, because the module is not published, students still can't see it. And there's proof of that. If I click on View as Student, you see Module 2 is not here. So even though the file's technically available, the folder is not available. Now, in looking at this file, I realize, well, it came in with the name of the file, but I don't think it looks very student friendly. So if you would like to modify the title of the file, you can. So to do that, you're going to locate the file here and then select on the three dots. And in the menu that pops up, you have an option called Edit. So when you select on Edit, you can clean up the title. So I'm just going to do just a little bit of editing here. So it looks a little more friendly. Now, if you'd like to add additional files or additional anything, you have here a plus button. And that plus button is your gateway to add even more content. So when you select on that plus button for your module, a little drop down appears and it says, hey, do you have an assignment? And you might have one. If you have one, it'll be here. If you don't have one, you can add one here. And if you want to add a new assignment this way, I'll just call this new assignment, you can. Now, whenever you add those new pieces of information, they'll always appear on the bottom. I don't want you to think about order right now. We're just adding stuff. Okay, so now we have a new assignment. In the plus button too, you can add quizzes. If you don't have a quiz right now, don't stress. You could make a new quiz by clicking on Create Quiz and then filling in the information. In the drop down here for now, I want you to pick Graded Quiz and then click Add Item. So again, don't stress about order. We're just adding things. Click on the plus button here, click on the drop down, and here's where you can add other files. Remember I added a file earlier, right? My syllabus. So here's where you can add new files. And I just want to point out, remember my college algebra syllabus? It's still here. I'm not going to add it again. That's not what I mean. I am just letting you know if I had a third module, I could add the syllabus to it again. So this just tells me that the syllabus I just put in my course is available for me to add to new modules. If you have other files, right? Select on Create Files, choose Files, and then you can add your additional file and then open. So you can add other things. You can also add pages. If you have pages, then you can pick them here. If you don't, you can create one here. And if you're wondering what's the purpose of a page, everything I have is in PDFs. A page is a great way for you to still put content into a course. Our second session today will dig a little bit more into the utility of pages. For now, think of a page as a one-way information vehicle where you can have information like your content or maybe a list of to-do items for the week or information about the project. And let's keep on going to understand what else you can add, right? If your course uses discussion boards, and I promise, even as an in-person instructor, I still used discussion boards. They can still be very helpful. Click on Create Topic to make your new discussion, like so. And then finally here, let's take a look at adding links. So that's the external URL tool right here. This is for when you have a journal article or a website you need students to access, but it's outside Canvas. And I have one here. So I'm going to pull up my OpenStax College Algebra textbook, and I'm going to paste it right there. Now, putting all of that in the page name will not make any sense. So I'm just going to call this College Algebra Textbook and then click Add Item. One other thing you can add here, and that's External Tool. External tools are plugins that work with Canvas. So if you take a look, and I know this depends on what you normally have access to. I'll point out here, for example, you have LinkedIn Learning here. You have Macmillan LTI. You have MATLAB. So if any of these resources are resources you use, you can click it and search it and find what you need to find. I don't have access to these, so I can't click these. But I'll point out for a little bit later, if you're going to join us for our studio session where I talk about Canvas's video options, this is where you're going to access those studio videos here. For now, I'll point out that there is YouTube. If you'd like to search for a YouTube video, just so that you can see the steps here. Oh, I'll go ahead and add this just so you can see the mechanics of it. When you've added that website, that YouTube video, it will appear here with a place for you to correct the title because you might not like the title. You can choose to add it right here too. So you can add all of these things to a module. But when you start to add these things, right, again, don't stress about order. We will fix the order momentarily. All right, so I'll just pause here for some quick questions. Someone's asking, how do I add files to the module from files migrated into another module? If you're in the same course, so here, I'll demonstrate this here. You see this course conclusion module? Let me show you, you could put the syllabus here. So I'll click on this new module plus button. And then in the file area, you see, I could add that file to multiple folders if I wanted to. Any other quick questions that I can answer here, Lauren? Okay, no worries. All right. Now I've shown you how to create new items. Let me remind you here in the plus button, as you start to develop new items, built out assignments and the like, you could add them too. So for example, I made a copy of this assignment at some point, right? It says copy. I could add it here. So you could not only create brand new content, you could add items you have already created from elsewhere. Now let's think about organization. If we imagine for a minute this is completely published, meaning all checkboxes all the way down, I don't think this would make a lot of sense to a student, right? They don't have any context, any understanding. So part of that process is to put your items in order. Now you need to think about how you would logically do this. When I was instructing, I liked to put my resources at the top, and then I liked to put assignments at the bottom. So I need to do some rearrangement. I can take, for example, this assignment, right? You see this one here? And I'm going to move it closer to the bottom because to me, that's where it should be. So I'll select on, You see right here, 8 dots. So I want you to do this, right? You should be working along here with me as much as you can. Take an item in a module, hold down on it, and drag it. And you see you can put it anywhere you want it to go. I'm going to do the same for my quiz because, again, I want that to be closer to the bottom. I'm going to do the same for this discussion, but for me, this discussion should be before the assignment. So I'll place that before the assignment. Now for my this assignment right here, right? Let's say I don't want to drag and drop or I cannot do the drag and drop. There is one other option that you can employ, and it's right here in the menu for the item. So when you locate the 3 dots and click it, you have a move to opportunity. So I can choose to move it to, I'm going to keep this in module 2, and I'm going to put it after new assignment. So I choose after and then new assignment. And you see, I didn't have to drag and drop it. So that's going to be task 1. Rearrange your items in the way you want it to be. So I'm going to move that page up to the top. There's my syllabus, my textbook link, my video, and then there's my deliverables. Another thing you can do, because although the order makes sense to me, maybe students still can't understand what they're supposed to do. A good way to add more organization to the module is to create sections out of it. So in the drop down here, if you notice, I never talked about this option. That's because I'm going to talk about it now. This is the text header. When I choose text header here, I'm going to put a title for this section. So when I was doing this, right, I taught chemistry, by the way, I created a learning resources section, and then I click on add item. Again, that new item appears at the bottom, so you're going to have to move it to where it should be, which is right here. So learning resources. I'm going to make a second section header. I'm going to call this student work. And then I'm going to take this student work header and put it right where it starts, which is before the new discussion. It's starting to come together, right? So I have a learning resources area and a student work area. And one other tip, and this is a hack, not many people know this, but you will after this. If you click on the plus button and make a text header, you don't have to put anything in the header bar. Let me show you what this does. If you click on add item, I can make a border between the first section and the second one. So I have a clear separation, which gives your eyes a nice break. So now I have 2 sections. I have learning resources and then student work. It's deep cuts right here. Here's another tip on organization too. You know, even after I did all of this, and to me, this was a lot of work. Even after all of this, I still had students who would say, well, I can't tell the difference between what you're giving me to access and what I need to do. And I would say, really? But after I did this next tip, I stopped having questions. I would tell students, you know, if you have to do it, I'm going to indent it. So resources for student consumption are not indented, but items that are for students to complete will be indented. So to make an indent, say for new discussion, I'm going to head on over to the 3 dots right here, select it, and choose increase indent, like that. I'll do the same for the assignment and for this other assignment. and for this quiz. And now you have a difference between what students need to do and what students need to consume. You can add more if you want to make it really exaggerated. And then I just had to copy this declaration to students. If it's indented, you have to do it. If it's indented, you have to do it. Uh, and that's when students finally got the message. I hope that your students are more focused and will listen to you harder than my students did on this point. One other tip regarding organization, and this has to do with a numbering scheme. Let me show you inside of one of my demo courses, and this has been built out. Okay, this took time. Um, so you see, I've implemented all of these tips to organize my module, introduction, lesson, and assignment sections. But you also see here evidence of a numbering system because this was module 1. Therefore, items inside the module also started with a 1, and then they would have a decimal after it, like 0 0.1, 0 0.2, 0 0.3, 0 0.4, 0 0.5, 0 0.6. And what that does is it subtly lets the student know you're supposed to go in order. It also helps students find resources a lot quicker. So in week 8 of your course, you can tell students your assignment tonight is 8.7, and they will get it. Because by that point, they are used to a numbering system that indicates resources in the module. So to add a numbering system, remember this is module 2, right? This is going to be 2.1. So I'm going to head on over to the 3 dots here, choose edit, and I'm going to type in 2.1. And I'll do the same for everything else here. And I'll try to do this pretty quickly. I know time is ticking. But I hope you can see that now the module is starting to come together. It looks more organized. And that's really what students want. Like we think students want novelty and excitement all the time. You know what? When it comes to this, because this might be new for a lot of students, what they need is predictability. What they need is structure. And if this is what I have to do to add structure to a course, well, then so be it. So here is 2.1 all the way through to 2.5. And if I need to add another text header, you see I have a plus button here. When you choose text header, don't put anything, leave it blank. And then your new blank text header appears at the bottom. So if I want, I can add a second blank text header here. It looks a lot better, right? And the idea is that you would replicate this structure for module 3, module 4, module 5. So students get used to the structure and then they will stop. I promise they will stop asking you questions about how do I find it? Because you've been consistent. That's what I'd call the essentials of setting up an organized module. For those of us that like a little visual appeal, consider adding emojis. I don't know if you could add emojis in D2L. Maybe you could. In Canvas, you can add an emoji, a little picture, to draw student attention to it. So let's say I want to put a book next to learning resources. So I'm going to head on over to the 3 dots here, choose edit, and I want that emoji to be here. So here's where I try to find an emoji to use. If you're on a Windows device, you're going to hold down on 2 keys, the Windows key and the space bar, or you can try Windows key and then the period key. I'm on a Mac, so I'm using Control, Command, and then Spacebar. And then I can locate here some books. Just search for books. So that immediately draws student attention to learning resources. If I want to add, say, a pencil to student work, I select on the three dots here, choose Edit, and then locate my pencil or whatever I want to locate. The idea being I only put the book here and I only put the pencil here. So students get cued to realize, oh, the pencil is where the assignments are. Oh, the book is where the videos are. I hope that that makes sense. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause here and check in. Any quick questions I could answer? Lauren, anything?
Helen,
Yeah,
sorry for the echo. Can you show the emojis again, please?
yes, of course. Let's say I want to add a change the emoji for student work. So I'll select on the three dots here, go to edit. I'll delete this. And then right here is where your emoji is desired to go. Here's where you think about your device. So if you have a Windows device, hold down two keys. Try holding down the Windows key and the period key together, and that should bring up the emoji menu. For Mac, it's Control Command Space. So here I'm going to, oh, I'll pick some other books. I'll pick that right here. And there's my new emoji. All right.
Again, Helen,
Yes.
apologizing for the echo. Can we take a break, please, for questions?
Yes. Are there any questions that are hanging out there that have not yet been addressed?
This isn't really a question, but once we start back, I'm sure you're going to show it, but we've had several questions about prerequisites and
Sure.
requirements. So
Okay, so let's do this. Let me show you quickly publishing, and then I'll go straight to the prerequisites question. Now, we'll have to fast forward in time because we're assuming all of these resources have already been built out. Right now, I'll just show you just this one page. This page is empty. You would have to take some time between now and this next point to go into the item and add your directions and resources to it. We're going to have to fast forward here and pretend that all of that work is done. So when I'm ready for students to see the module, you're going to need to publish it all. There's a publish module and all items option here at the top that publishes everything all at once. And that makes your assignments, discussions, etc., available all at once. Now, onto the topic of requirements and prerequisites, which in D2L are called release conditions, correct? Let's talk about release conditions within a module. I want to set this up so they have to look at this before they touch this, before they touch this. So inside the published module, select on the three dots here, click on Edit, and right here you have a requirements option. This is what you choose to set up those conditions inside this specific module. So I'll choose requirement. And for what I imagine is most of your use cases, you want students to have to go in order. So check off this box right here. And then right here, you have to indicate what are the things the students have to do in order. So I'm going to choose for the page, they have to look at it. For the syllabus, maybe they have to look at it. For the textbook link, maybe they have to look at it. There are other options depending on what the resource is. So for example, this discussion here, I can have them look at it or contribute to the page. That means add a reply to it. For this new assignment, I can choose that they can mark this as done, or they have to submit the assignment. For this assignment, perhaps they have to score at least. And again, I'm presuming it's already set up. Canvas would have to know what this number is because you have set this up already. But you can set it up to say only let them go on if they've done 8 out of 10. So you'll be able to mark that here. And then for quizzes too, you have that option to do score at least or simply to submit it. So here's how this looks once all of the release conditions or the requirements are set up. And then you'll want to test this. So remember, focusing on unit module 2, go to view as student. And now this is how it looks. I can't move on until I view this. So I have viewed it now. If I had chosen the option to mark as done, there would be a button here that I would have to click. Until it's clicked, it wouldn't let me move on. But now that I have viewed that page, I now can view the next item. So here's me viewing it. I have to view the textbook. Here's me viewing it. So you see, as I keep on completing these requirements, that the module opens up one by one. And I cannot move on until I actually contribute something. And the items are checked off one by one. Once all check boxes are checked off, you will see a checkbox appear here too, which will have a check mark in it. So that's how to set up the requirements inside the module. Module settings, by the way, appear here in the 3 dots for the module title. So you have to locate it next to the plus button here. Now, if I wanted to set up prerequisites, this is a second layer of requirement where I have to do everything in module 2 before I touch this module, as an example. Then that requires, I made a funny, that you put the requirement in the first module, right? The prerequisite. And if module 2 is a prerequisite for this module, course conclusion, I have to tell Canvas that. So to do that, I'm going to go to this last module here and choose here in the 3 dots, the module settings, go to Edit, and this time you're going to choose Prerequisites. So I'm telling Canvas, Module 2 is a prerequisite for course conclusion. So I choose that prerequisite here. Now that that has been set, you can test this because your test student has a memory. So I'll choose View as Student. Remember, our test student, this fake student that we're accessing, hasn't done everything, right? She's done part of it, but not all of it. So you may want to actually, let's do this. A good test here is to reset the student. Sometimes timing is not your friend. But I do want to show you that you cannot access this second module before touching the first one. So that's why I wanted to restart. So here we are back with a fresh student. Hasn't done anything in module 2. And now you see course conclusion is grayed out. So that's what it means to have requirements set here and then to have that be a prerequisite for this module here. And that's requirements and prerequisites. Canvas's version of release conditions. Are there any questions about that process?
One question I have about the modules themselves,
Mhm.
can you, if they're not published, let's say you just want to publish getting started and publish module one,
Right.
can you just stop there and then, basically I had my previous courses set up where there's something due each week and then just publish module two at the appropriate time? Do you recommend that or not?
That's what I did. So yes, I recommend that. Um,
Some students would like go through the whole, they
yeah,
want to go from module to module.
yeah, and they hop around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not appropriate. Yeah. You can always publish as you go. I would create my like week two module before week two
Sure.
and then leave it unpublished. Actually, what I would do is this. Here's another trick. You can actually do this. So I'm going to publish this now, but with a caveat. So in the three dots here, I'm going to choose lock.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so this is I can make it so this only opens on a date and time of my choosing.
Oh, that's excellent. So then I don't have to go in there manually. It's already set.
That's right.
Sweet. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And they'll know, by the way, that it's locked because they will see this message. It will unlock at this date and time.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I had a long journey with modules myself as an instructor. I used to do a daily module, and then students told me to please stop doing that. Got overwhelmed. I went to a week module structure, week one, week two, week three, and I never looked back. So that's, in short, my module journey.
Helen, we've got some questions in the room, so could you give us about 5 minutes?
Sure, what are your questions?
Do y'all want to share some of those so that like just in case or like others have that same question?
Quick question here. I'm still not clear on the difference between requirements and prerequisites and when you would use one versus the other. Can you give a quick synopsis there?
Sure. So do you see right here, Dr. Pruitt? You see this
Uh,
view. Those are requirements. Requirements apply to items inside a module. Prerequisites apply to modules, so I can make module two a prerequisite for course conclusion.
so you can't, for example, make viewing a lecture a prerequisite to taking a quiz.
You can, it's just that we call it a requirement.
Okay, all right. I understand now.
Because the way I had it set up, you had to do the discussion post before you could touch this assignment. That's what you mean, right? Yeah.
Right.
So we just have a difference in vocabulary. That's it. You can,
Okay.
And
yes.
Helen, could you show when a student checks off a requirement
Yeah,
that they've made progress?
sure. So we'll have our fresh student come in here. So here's module two. There's a little circle here because they haven't done anything. I view this, right? All of the amazing content that's here. I can go to next. Oh, it says this file is part of an unpublished module. Let's fix that. Friends, this is why student view is so helpful. I'm going to go ahead and remove this file right here. In fact, I'm going to remove this prerequisite too, and we'll try that again. Okay, that should be better. So we have here a weekly agenda page. Oh, it's because I had a lock on it. Let's fix that again. All right, third time's the charm. Here we go, much better. It's because I had the lock on it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on view. Here's me viewing it. I can go back to modules or click on previous or next. And now we should have check marks appearing here for things that I've done as a test student. I have to view this or I can't see this. So now here's me viewing this. And then I go back here and now that resource is checked off. So the idea is I get checked off for everything here marked with a circle, and then I'll be checked off for the entire module. So those are requirements. Did that answer those questions about requirements and prerequisites? Stunning, Helen, you did great. Okay. One last thing I want to show you, and then I'm going to let you go because I know we're right at time. Once you have the resources from the commons or a module structure that you want to copy, you do have the ability to take a module and duplicate it. So in the module settings here, you should have a duplicate function right here, which will help you copy the great formatted content from the original module. So where you can go into the copy and edit that. And it comes in pre-formatted, looks great, and allows for that predictable structure that helps to create a really well flowing course structure. And I think this is where we need to end. I see that there's a hand up in the chat, Lauren. Should I go ahead and answer that before we stop? Yeah, okay. Whoever put up the very polite hand.
It's me, Tammy Jones. I'm in the math department. So I have a question, and I apologize if you've already answered it because I had to come in a little bit late. It's another meeting. If a student goes in to like view the textbook and then there's a check, right now in D2L, I can actually go in and see if they really did just check it, if they kind of spent some time with it. Is there some place comparable that I can do that in D2L in Canvas, or could they literally just go in and check those, never really dive into them, but they could progress on through?
Depends on what you want to see. If you want to see like Helen spent 10 minutes on page X.
No, just that Helen did at least get into the textbook and I know they could open it and just leave it open, but other than just the fact that you clicked on through it.
So there is an area, sorry for the scrolling, all the way up at the top called View Progress.
Mhm.
View Progress, and I don't have any students in here, which you
Right.
won't see anything, but you would see a list of students here. If you click on the name of the student, you can see which items they've interacted with, and they'll be marked with a check mark.
Okay.
You know that they have been in that area.
Okay.
If you want data like Helen was on page X Tuesday at 9 p.m., a better place to take a look at that is inside of course analytics. And course analytics is right here.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, friends. So that's our first session. I know it went by quickly, but I hope you were able to pick up lots of great information there.